Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Oh man, today is going to be an interesting day. I think maybe it's not true for everybody, but I think it's going to be an interesting day as we start to really embrace and start to either uncover, reclaim, whatever you want to call it, our true and authentic self. This one is so important to me, this topic. And so I welcome you if you're interested in receiving information about that. I'm just going to do a tiny bit of information and then we're going to move over to experiential, which will be Reiki infused meditation. I do actually have a meditation up that I'll put the link to that on here. If you want to do a little bit more, I don't know, work with, who is my true or authentic self. There's always extra stuff that we can be doing, I suppose. But welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I'm always excited to see people joining me, whether it's your first time or whether this is, your 100th time or whatever. Welcome. I'm glad that you're here. And I'm just going to light a little sage. And if you're not sure, how did I find this channel? I'm not really sure either. I don't understand the algorithm. But I'm Mary from Rivers Journey Wellness. I'm a holistic therapist for many years. I'm a Reiki master, teacher, and practitioner. And I'm also an intuitive coach. I'm just beginning to blend, well, maybe not just beginning. I've been blending together all of the strategies, the tools, the support that I know is helpful for people on their journey to change, just into all of the practices, all the services that I offer, because I know not everybody learns the same way, not everybody heals the same way, not everybody obviously has the same journey, same things that they want to be working on. So it's always helpful to have different ways of working. And as a therapist, I know how slowly healing can happen. Sometimes it can happen quickly with talk therapy, but usually with talk therapy, it's a slow process. And I found myself personally, transformation has happened a little bit quicker as I started to move into more of the energetic healing, which is Reiki, the shamanic world. There's definitely some practices that I've learned that I'm incorporating into the work that I do with my clients. And so I want to share that with everybody. So welcome again. So this one can be challenging. I remember several years ago, I had gone to see a shamanic healer. He had a pretty good reputation for, supporting people, helping people out. And I knew that there was more for me than what I was currently experiencing and what I was doing at the time, like work wise. And I remember we were doing this practice. It's called journeying, where he's just helping me to facilitate, go deeper and deeper within, and really allow my higher wisdom, my true self to kind of have voice, because usually it's our subconscious mind that's running the show. And with that, one of the things, he doesn't typically talk a whole lot during that practice directly at me. He's just kind of helping me get there. But he asked me, like, who are you? And my thinking mind immediately turned back on. And I was like, okay, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter. And I think he saw the look on my face and he was like, nah, let's get you back into the body. Let's get you back into that practice of going within. And he kind of asked me a couple different ways. One of the things he'd asked after, who are you, was, who are you truly? And I was like, wanting to scratch my head again. I went back into thinking mind, kind of that left side of our brain, that analytical mind. And I thought, I'm a woman. I like couldn't really go super deep in this. And no, I want you to go a little bit deeper with that. And as we were working together, it was really, who are you truly? Who were you truly born to be? And there are different roles that we have that are really important, very fulfilling in our lives. And I don't want to discount that. It's important that we have that. But there's more. There's more to us. There's a difference between who I am as far as like what I do for a living or what family I'm born into, that sort of thing, versus who I'm meant to be, right? There's some choice there, but then there's also this evolution of understanding who am I, at my core, my true essence, and what is my path, what is my purpose here. So I think that's a really big, again, I kind of laugh at myself that I'm like, how am I going to do this in an hour? It's a really big concept, and I think a lot of times um, we're really focused on the external roles, the roles that other people either see us in or other people want us to be part of. So I think to take that time to go within is really important. If you have any questions or any concerns, you can always put it in the chat. If you want to talk about your experience, you're more than welcome. I love to share what other people are experiencing as well. But this is coming up for me again, as I'm really moving into the next evolution of myself. And I really feel like, and you've probably heard me say that, like, this is going to be a really good year. I don't know why, but I just feel like it's going to be a really good year. And, or I don't have data to back that up other than like astrology and numerology. I guess I do have that, but I just feel it. I can just feel it. And to me, what is my best year? What does that look like? It really means that I'm being my most authentic self. I'm allowing my most authentic self to step forward and really guide me, as opposed to fears, worries, doubts, calling the shots, right? So one of the things that we have to do if we're going to allow ourselves that freedom to live authentically, to be our authentic selves, is to really get an understanding of who we are at our core, at our essence, that I say the divine us, right? So hopefully this is something that can just kind of plant the seed for you to start thinking about it, because I know, like I said, this is a big topic, so it may not be able to answer all the questions, but I feel like when we start thinking about something, when we start putting our attention on something, the awareness expands of like, okay, this is something that I need to think about, contemplate, meditate on, journal on, do whatever on, but get a little bit more information in. So, who are you? And who are you truly? Who were you born to be or to become if you're not there yet, right? It's thinking about outside of the roles. So, with that, one of the things that pops up, I was talking about the analytical mind, kind of calling the shots and getting us out of that really grounded space, is there can be self-doubt about who we are, our potential, but most likely stuff that creeps into our mind when we start thinking about who we are is more of like the criticism, the judgment, just the harshness of how we talk to ourselves when we start to compare ourselves to other people, or maybe not even people that we know in our personal life, but people that we've seen on social media, TV, movies, wherever we might have seen them. And that sort of makes us shrink. And when we start to feel a little small, when we feel not good enough, it's really hard to tap into the authentic self, because now we're stuck in kind of lack scarcity. We're stuck in that fear and doubt mindset. And so we're not able to kind of let our light out, so to speak. So, with that being said, I had been meditating and I pulled some cards. And again, I should never be surprised. I always am. But I love the cards that came up for today, and I wanted to share them with you. So, I pulled, with intention, I actually did pull 2 animal spirit cards. It wasn't, sometimes they fall out or it was an accident, not today. But the first one that I pulled was white raven spirit, trust in the magic, except I had pulled her in sort of that protection message. And so I think this speaks, or at least for me, this speaks to, when we go into that place of self-doubt, sort of minimizing who we are, what we have, our skills and our talents. We all have skills and we all have skills and talents, our gifts. When we start to doubt that, when we start to worry, it sort of makes it a challenge to, again, be our authentic self. But this is reminding us that the things that we're seeing, that comparison stuff, or the things that we're seeing that, like, oh, I don't have this yet, or I'm not there quite yet, it doesn't really matter. When we tap back into, so again, it was in that protection. So when we tap back into that, the magic is available to me, right? The divine light is part of me. I'm part of the universe, and anything that I can possibly imagine is available to me, right? I just have to make sure that I take inspired action if that's what my goal is. So I feel like this one is just that reminder of how do we get back to that place where we can tune out the noise, tune out the comparison, self-doubt, judgment, criticism, and go back to that place that's so beautiful with magic, right? And the next two were pretty awesome too. So the next one that I pulled was Snake Spirit, Time to Heal. And this one I pulled also in the protective. And this one I think is so amazing because we are in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in the winter. And so this is a time to go within. This is a time to reflect. This is a time to heal. This is a time to prepare ourselves for those new growth, that new opportunity, those new possibilities. This is our time to release what is feeling tight and constrictive. And even though we feel vulnerable when we do that, because we're not sure what's out there, we're not sure what kind of skin's going to grow back, we kind of have to have trust and faith that skin's going to grow back and be protective. But when we release that, we're able to move through another cycle, another evolution, and then we get to see where we are. And so if anyone's been struggling with having time to heal, giving yourself that permission to take it slowly, to take it at your pace, to have that, I feel like that quiet time, that stillness, going into the stillness of winter, this is sort of your reminder that it's time. And if you were like, yeah, but, yeah, but I don't know, maybe not me, the goddess card that I pulled was Kuan Yin. So just in case you're like, nope, it's not available to me, or no, it seems too scary or seems too far away for me, the goddess of compassion has come and said, I am here. I am ready to support you. When I opened Sacred Space before I get online. When I opened Sacred Space, I did invite Kuan Yin in to pour her love and medicine into this space and just be available to anybody that's needing compassion. When we go to that place of compassion, this gave me chills, because when we go to that place, we're really focusing on ourselves. But when you think about, in a positive way, we're focused on ourselves in a positive way. But when you think about, like, how do I minimize my suffering, or how do I end my suffering, or how do I move past my suffering? Most of us, if you're in kind of the Western way of living, it's like push through, throw some dirt on it, there's no crying in baseball, right? You just have to plow through. And that's actually really depleting. It's not going to be supporting your needs. It's not even recognizing your needs. There's no awareness of your needs when you're doing that. But when we're asked to think about things compassionately, send ourselves some compassion, things open up for us. And this is with this card, with Kuan Yin's card, it's like, if I want to reduce my suffering, one of the questions that we can ask is, how am I sending myself kindness, forgiveness, love and compassion, we're probably not if we're beating ourselves up. If we're judging and criticizing ourselves, we're probably not doing any of those things. And to begin to heal, to begin to reduce our suffering, we do need to start with forgiveness of ourselves, seeing how we can send ourselves more loving, compassionate energy, how we can be kind to ourselves. And again, going back to this winter energy, this is a time for stillness, it's a time for rest. That is kind, that is loving, that is supporting your energy. And even though it feels like I'm behind or I'm not, I have so many people tell me, like, I'm not where I want to be, I'm not where I should be. So depleting when we say that to ourselves. But this is counterintuitive for some people. But if you feel like you're behind or you're not where you should be, instead of pushing through, I want you to think about, how can I slow down and make sure that I have time for myself to either go within, to forgive, show myself some love, compassion, and kindness. When we start to do that, something shifts within inside of us. We sort of release some of the limiting beliefs and mindset that we have. And it sort of affords us an opportunity, obviously, to heal, but then also to grow. We go back to that state of being calm and grounded, and all of a sudden we start to have clarity. We start to have new, fresh ideas. We start to daydream about, what if I did this? Or how cool would it be that if I was that, right? And so when we think about like who I am, instead of like, I'm a stress ball, I'm worried about everything, or whatever it might be, right? We can really look at like, who are we really? Who are we at our core? Looking at those gifts, those talents, the skills that we have. So I was really excited when I pulled these cards. Hopefully they resonate for you. Hopefully they're meaningful. You're free to put anything into the chat if that resonates with you. Um, it was really exciting to get that message. And I did want to pull another card because I know that I wanted to do a little bit of Reiki and meditation with this for today, just to have that practice of going within. I would love to give you, like, these are the 5 steps that you need to do so you can find out who you truly are, so you can be your authentic self. It's not that simple. We, like I said, we all have our own journey. We all move at our own pace. And if we have the knowledge of like where we need to support ourselves, I think it becomes a little bit easier for us to go through that healing process, that evolution, that, shedding of skin to reveal what's underneath. But there's not like, do these 5 steps in these 5 weeks and you'll be transformed into your authentic self. But I liked this card. So I pulled, what is the thing that we're really needing with the understanding of these cards that I pulled? What am I needing to do for myself? So if I have one step for you, one step of what you can do to start tapping into your authentic self, it's go on a vision quest. And really, you don't have to take a week in the wilderness by yourself to go on a vision quest. You just need time set aside with intention to receive messages, to be connected back to nature, to see the signs and synchronicities that make sense to you. So I really loved that this card came up for tapping back into who we are. And for some of us, it is uncovering. For some of us, it is reclaiming. So at some point in our life, we may have known, it may have been apparent to us that we had a particular calling, that we had a particular path, but maybe life got in the way, or we had to do things a specific order and it didn't unfold that way. Or, sometimes I'd worked with adolescents a really long time ago, and I worked with this really neat, he was a really neat kid, super creative. I mean, he just had such a fabulous way of looking at the world, and he really wanted to do some neat things when he got a little bit older. And his mom kept saying, no, he needs to either go to trade school or he needs to get a job. But none of this, she would call it like airy fairy, which it really wasn't. It was just creative. None of this stuff. He needs to get his feet on the ground, basically, is what she was saying. And I was like, wow, you don't know how rooted this kid is, right? He did have his feet on the ground, but to me, his crown chakra was so open. He was receiving so much information about how can he make a difference in this world. And his mom just kind of tampered it down until he was like, I guess I'll be a welder, and he had no desire to do that, but that's kind of where it was at. And I don't know what happened to that kid, but hopefully he's still accessing some of his creativity. But I think when we go back in and have that time for a vision quest, we can really either uncover or reclaim. So for that young man, it would be reclaiming, right? There was something that he knew at a younger age, what he was meant to do or who he truly was, but it sort of got pushed down. For some of us, we've never thought that way or we've never connected in that way, especially if we had very authoritative parents like that lady that was like, you're going to do it this way, right? Where there wasn't that opportunity to explore who I am. I work with a lot of men and women. And I hate to use middle age because I'm like, oh man, but maybe 30s, 40s, 50s, that are really wondering like, who am I? Right? I don't know what I like. I don't know what I enjoy because I've always focused on someone else. So this might be an uncovering for them. You might be in one of those two buckets. But I think it's good to do this during winter to reconnect with yourself, see where you're at, and see what comes up for you, because I think it's so powerful of a practice. And every time I do so my meditation, I think I called it like who I am. I can't remember what it is. But every time I do something like that, every time I do a little bit of journeying with going within and seeing, my true or my authentic self, it's a little bit different. There might be different shades, different variations of it. There might be a little bit more clarity. There might be a little bit more focus on like, oh, I need to do it this way, or oh, I can incorporate that into it. But I feel like each time we do it, we get a little bit more information. So don't ever feel like it's a one and done process. It's definitely not. And as you step into that, as you step into being I like to call it your authentic self, but as you step into that thing that's your soul purpose, that is true to your soul's path, I feel like we learn a little bit more. So our skills increase, obviously our knowledge deepens, and then how we're going to apply that, not only to ourselves, but how we're going to give back. And even if you think of like Maslow's hierarchy, missing a word there, but that's okay. When we think about like self-actualization, or when we think about developmental stages for adults, when we get to the tippity top, we're thinking about how we can give our gift to others. How can we be of service to others? So I think as we get a little bit more grounded, a little bit more safe in how am I going to live freely my most authentic self, that's something that might be up there as well. And so as we're learning new skills, as we're deepening our knowledge and our wisdom, there might be a little bit more awareness of like, okay, and then I want to do this as well. So don't ever feel like, oh, I missed the boat on that. I have no idea. Well, you might have an idea now and it might change in 5-10 years, and that's okay, right? When we stop growing, when we stop changing, that's the problem. That's the issue. So that being said, if there's no questions, no comments, I'm just going to keep rolling through. I know there's a little lag time. No? Okay. All right. So we're going to take a little bit of time. I've invited in, like I said, we're going to send you on a mini just a mini vision quest, not out in nature, but just within you right now. And I've invited in, I love my sage spray. So I have invited in snake spirit, white raven spirit, and Kuan Yin, just to hold space, but then also to pour in that love and that medicine into our space. So I invite you, if you're able to get comfortable, you can keep your eyes open or you can close them. You can sit up or you can lay down, whatever works best for you. There's no right or wrong. Just take a few minutes. I know sometimes we gotta scooch around and find a good position for our body, relax the body. Just start taking a few cleansing breaths, just releasing anything that you've been holding on to, any of the pressures for the day, to-do lists. Just reassuring yourself that there's nowhere else that you need to be right now. It's safe for you to go within. And if you have a practice of inviting in your guides, your guardians, you're welcome to do that at this time. I'm just going to take a moment. Even though I've already done this, I'm going to invite in again Kuan Yin for her guidance, her love, and her support. To pour her love and medicine into this space and time, whenever we're viewing this, so that we can understand how to provide that forgiveness of self, love and compassion, and kindness. She's a reminder for us to ask, what's the most compassionate thing I can do for myself in this moment? What's the most loving thing I can do for myself in this moment? What's the kindest thing I can do for myself in this moment? And can I open to seeing areas that I need to send forgiveness to in my life, starting with me, to soften that judgment or criticism, not only self-doubt, but also just that harshness of comparison. And even though sometimes it feels vulnerable, to take time to heal, to slow down, to rest, we invite in our ally, snake spirit, to support that process of healing. And we invite in white raven, as she reminds us how to tap back into the magic that is this universe, that is available to us every day, helping us to tune out the noise and the distractions, the anger and the fear that's on the TV and social media. Returning to just that childlike awe and wonder. Opening to seeing the signs and synchronicities. And as you're comfortable, if you ever feel like you need to just take a deep breath and release again, you're welcome to do that at any time. I know that release comes differently for everybody. It could be the body relaxing. It could be, a tear coming to your eye. Sometimes it can be a hiccup or a burp. Just the body's way of releasing some stuff. You probably hear me releasing a lot. So just welcoming them in. If you're not sure when they're available to, you can ask, how will I know? Or show me. Show me you're here. I get this tingling sensation, like basically from my ankle to my hip when a guide is with me. Sometimes it comes in other ways too, but that's one of my big ones. So taking this time just to open to that question of who am I? Beyond your roles, beyond your linear thinking, feeling it, sensing it, knowing it, not thinking it through, not answering it in that way. Giving voice to your inner knowing, your inner wisdom. I like to say, allowing your soul to speak. If that creates stress for you, soften it a little bit. If I knew who I was becoming, who would that be? What would that look like? How would it feel? What would I know? Just allowing any of the messages that you've received or other people's expectations of you or for you, just allowing that to be released. We're sort of digging away at whatever mud or muck we've put over ourselves that hides our inner light, our authentic self. So who are you truly? Who are you meant to be? Go back to your gifts and your talents. What is my unique gift? What is my unique talent? Other people may do the same thing that you do, but you do it in your own way because you're so unique. You're the only one that can bring that version of whatever gift or talent or skill. I want to give you an opportunity to just think about, not think, sense and know, feel into some of these, we'll call them answers to who you possibly are. I am freedom. I am expansive and limitless. I am hopeful. I am potential and possibilities. I am love. I am authentic. I am happiness. I am balance. I am strength. I am safety. I am bliss. I am joy. I am passion. I am vibrant. I am comfort. I am abundant. I am purpose. I am creative. I am flow. I am peace. I am oneness. I am connection. Just sending you a little bit more healing and supportive energy. Allowing time to release any limiting beliefs or mindset that's not aligned with your highest self. Allowing for time and space for that opportunity to reclaim or to uncover who you truly are, why you're here, what is your soul's purpose. Seeing the past more clearly, recognizing that each stepping stone was part of your soul's path. Trusting in the magic that when you're ready to extend your next foot out for your next step, there'll be a sturdy stone under your foot. That even though we're vulnerable during that time of healing and growth, you're safe, you're strong, you'll continue to transform. Just taking a little bit of time to thank all of your guides and guardians, your animal allies, especially snake and white raven. Anyone who walks alongside you on your path, sending them gratitude, sending thanks to Kuan Yin for her wisdom, her love, her medicine, to support you reconnecting back to compassion so you can show yourself that loving kindness. Seal that in. And you can take a deep breath in. Just releasing anything else that's come up for you. Beginning to bring your body back to the present, your mind back to the present, your spirit back to the present. Wiggle your fingers and toes to wake up the body. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes if you close them, or return to focus if you didn't. So hopefully this was a helpful start for reclaiming or uncovering. If you want to do deeper work with this, we can always do one-on-one session, whether it's the energy piece of this with Reiki, whether it's talk therapy or coaching. We'll talk therapy if you're in Illinois or coaching. But I do also offer just quick 30-minute energy. We pick some oracle cards and talk about the energy. That might be helpful for some people to get a little bit more clarity. You're really starting to tap into your inner knowing, your intuition. The more that we pay attention to it, the more we have those intuitive hits. So it's win-win if we do that. There's always opportunities to connect as well. You can go to my website, riversjourneywellness.com, and see any services that I offer. I'm actually going to be on Insight Timer this Sunday. So that is the 21st, I think so. If anybody's on Insight Timer, you can catch me there. And then obviously, if you're interested in doing a little bit more deeper work, you're more than welcome to consider the winter membership, the Soul Journey membership. So Thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. Hopefully, this was helpful. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Okay. So, everybody, take care and be well.